Hey there, fellow adventurers and dream chasers. Are you in need of a change or a fresh start? I'm thrilled to welcome you to this exciting journey through Eastern Europe. As someone who's lived the expat life and helped countless others find their perfect fresh start, I can't wait to share with you the incredible opportunities waiting in this vibrant region. You know, there's something truly magical happening in Eastern Europe right now. More and more people, from digital nomads to retirees and everyone in between, are discovering the hidden gems this part of the world has to offer. And let me tell you, it's not just about the stunning landscapes or the rich history, though those are pretty amazing too. What's really drawing people in is the perfect blend of affordability, culture, and that warm, welcoming atmosphere that makes you feel right at home. It's like the region is saying, hey, come on over. We've got a place for you. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Eastern Europe? Really? Trust me, I had the same reaction at first. But let me tell you, this region is full of surprises, and in 2025, it's going to be the place to be for anyone looking to turn over a new leaf. In this video, we're going to take a whirlwind tour of the top countries that should be on your radar if you're dreaming of a fresh start. We'll be exploring the tech-savvy wonderland of Estonia, the fairy tale charm of the Czech Republic, the economic powerhouse of Poland, and the cultural hotspot that is Hungary. So, buckle up, my friends. It's time to discover why Eastern Europe might just be the perfect place for your next big adventure. Let's dive in. The best countries in Eastern Europe for a fresh start. First on our list, we have Estonia. Alright, let's kick things off with a country that's basically living in the future, Estonia. Now, I've got to tell you, when I first visited Tallinn, I felt like I'd stepped into a time machine that couldn't quite make up its mind. Picture this, you're walking down a cobblestone street, surrounded by medieval architecture that looks like it's straight out of a fairy tale. But then you turn a corner, and bam! You're in the middle of a bustling tech hub that would make Silicon Valley jealous. That's Estonia for you, a perfect blend of old-world charm and cutting-edge innovation. And let me tell you about their e-residency program. It's like they've taken the concept of citizenship and gave it a 21st century makeover. With this digital ID, you can start and run a business in Estonia from anywhere in the world. How cool is that? But it's not just about the tech. The quality of life here is off the charts. I remember chatting with an expat friend over coffee in Tallinn, and she couldn't stop raving about the work-life balance, the clean air, and how safe she felt walking around at night. And then you have the Wi-Fi. It's everywhere, it's fast, and it's free. I once managed to join a video call while hiking in a national park. Try doing that in New York. Next, let's make a visit to Czech Republic. Now, let's hop over to the heart of Europe, the Czech Republic. Oh, Prague. I still get goosebumps thinking about the first time I saw the Charles Bridge at sunset. But it's not just about the picture-perfect views, though trust me, your Instagram will, thank you. Prague, and the Czech Republic as a whole, has become a melting pot of cultures. I've met people from all corners of the world who've fallen in love with this place and decided to call it home. One of the biggest perks? Location, location, location. The Czech Republic is smack in the middle of Europe, making it the perfect base for your weekend getaways. I once had breakfast in Prague, lunch in Vienna, and dinner in Budapest, all in one day. And let's talk about the cost of living. Coming from New York, I nearly fell off my chair when I saw the price of a pint of beer. Let's just say you can enjoy a night out without having to check your bank balance every 5 minutes. But it's not all about Prague. Cities like Brno and Olomouc are quickly becoming hotspots for expats, especially in the IT and tourism sectors. I met a couple who moved to Brno to start their tech startup, and they couldn't stop gushing about the supportive business environment and the quality of life. Next on our list, we visit the fascinating country of Poland. Now, if you're looking for a country that's really on the up and up, Poland should be at the top of your list. I remember visiting Warsaw for the first time and being blown away by the energy of the place. It's like the whole country is buzzing with possibilities. The job market for foreigners is booming, especially in cities like Warsaw, Krakow, and Gdansk. But it's not all work and no play. Poland's got this incredible knack for honoring its past while charging full steam ahead into the future. One day you're exploring medieval castles, the next you're attending a cutting-edge art exhibition. And don't even get me started on the food. Pierogi, anyone? I swear, I gained 5 pounds in my first month here, and I regret nothing. What really struck me about Poland, though, was the great outdoors. From the Tatra Mountains in the south to the Baltic Sea in the north, there's no shortage of natural beauty. I once spent a weekend hiking in the Bieszczady Mountains, and let me tell you, it was like stepping into a whole other world. And now, last but not least, let's move on to the wonderful country of Hungary. Now, if you've ever dreamed of living in a place that feels like a constant celebration of life, Hungary might just be your perfect match. Budapest, the capital, is often called the Paris of the East, and let me tell you, it lives up to the hype. I'll never forget the first time I saw the Parliament building lit up at night, reflected in the Danube. It's the kind of view that makes you pinch yourself to make sure you're not dreaming. But Hungary isn't just about postcard perfect views. It's a country that knows how to live well. Take the thermal baths, for instance. Soaking in 100-degree water, playing chess with locals, with a beautiful Baroque building as your backdrop, that's just a regular Tuesday in Budapest. The cost of living here is another big draw. I met an American couple who sold their tiny apartment in San Francisco and bought a spacious flat in Budapest's trendy 7th district, with money left over to start their own business. Speaking of business, Hungary, and especially Budapest, has become a hotbed for startups and digital nomads. The cafes are full of people tapping away on laptops, building the next big thing. And if you're into education, there are plenty of opportunities to teach English or work in international schools. I even met a guy who moved here to study medicine. Did you know Hungary has some of the best medical universities in Europe? Benefits of living in Eastern Europe. Cost of living. Now, let's talk about something that's on everyone's mind when they're considering a move abroad: money. One of the biggest perks of living in Eastern Europe is just how far your money can go. I remember the first time I went grocery shopping in Warsaw. I filled up my cart with fresh produce, local delicacies, and yes, maybe a bottle of wine or two. When I got to the checkout, I was sure there had been some mistake. The total was about a third of what I used to pay back in the States. And it's not just food. Rent, utilities, transportation, it all costs less. I've met people who were barely scraping by in London or New York, who are now living comfortably in cities like Prague or Budapest. Healthcare is another big one. I had to see a doctor while in Estonia, and I was amazed at how modern the facilities were and how little I had to pay. It's reassuring to know that if you need medical care, you won't have to break the bank. The best part? This lower cost of living doesn't mean you have to compromise on quality. In fact, many expats I've talked to say they're living better than ever. Eating out more, traveling more, maybe even saving more. It's like unlocking a cheat code for life. Cultural experience. But life isn't just about saving money, right? It's about experiences, about broadening your horizons. And let me tell you, Eastern Europe is a cultural goldmine. Every country we've talked about has its own unique history, traditions, and way of life. It's like stepping into a living, breathing history book, but one that's also racing towards the future. I'll never forget attending my first Polish wedding. The traditions, the food, the vodka, it was an experience like no other. Or the time I stumbled upon a medieval festival in Tallinn, with people dressed up in period costumes, selling crafts and food from centuries ago. And then you have the festivals. From the Sziget Festival in Budapest to the Prague Spring International Music Festival, there's always something happening. I once found myself at a small folk music festival in a Czech village, dancing with locals and drinking homemade slivovitz. These are the kind of memories you just can't put a price on. Learning the local language is another adventure in itself. Yes, it can be challenging. I'm still struggling with Hungarian, but it's incredibly rewarding. There's nothing quite like the feeling of having your first real conversation with a local in their own language. But perhaps the most valuable aspect of the cultural experience is how it changes you. Living in a different culture, experiencing different ways of thinking and doing things, it broadens your perspective in ways you never imagined. I know I'm not the same person I was before I moved to Eastern Europe, and I mean that in the best possible way. Practical considerations. Visa and residency. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but what about the paperwork? Don't worry, I've got you covered. Each country has its own rules, of course, but in general, Eastern European countries are increasingly opening up to expats and digital nomads. Take Estonia's e-residency program that I mentioned earlier. It's a game changer for digital entrepreneurs. Many countries offer special visas for freelancers and remote workers. I met a graphic designer from Canada who got a freelancer visa in the Czech Republic. She said the process was surprisingly straightforward. For retirees, places like Hungary and Poland offer specific programs to attract foreign pensioners. A friend of mine, a retired teacher from the UK, moved to a small town in Poland. She said the residency process was much easier than she expected. And if you're thinking long term, many of these countries offer paths to permanent residency or even citizenship. I know a couple who moved to Estonia 5 years ago, and they're now in the process of applying for citizenship. The key is to do your research and, if possible, get help from a local expert. Every country has its quirks when it comes to bureaucracy, but don't let that scare you off. Trust me, the reward is worth the effort. Integration and community. Moving to a new country can feel daunting, but here's the good news, you're not alone. There are thriving expat communities in all the countries we've talked about. When I first moved to Budapest, I joined a few Facebook groups for expats. Before I knew it, I was invited to language exchange meetups, trivia nights, and weekend trips. It's a great way to meet people who are in the same boat as you. But integration isn't just about hanging out with other expats. It's about becoming part of the local community too. Learning even a few phrases in the local language can open so many doors. I'll never forget the smile on my Hungarian neighbor's face when I first greeted her with a Jó napot kívánok. Many cities offer language courses and cultural programs specifically for newcomers. I took a Czech language and culture course in Prague, and it was invaluable, not just for learning the language, but for understanding the local customs and way of life. And in this digital age, there are so many resources at your fingertips. From language learning apps to online forums for expats, you're never more than a click away from help and community. Remember, every expat you meet was once in your shoes. The community is incredibly supportive and always ready to lend a hand or share advice. It's one of the things I love most about expat life, this sense of shared adventure and mutual support. Conclusion. From the digital wonderland of Estonia to the thermal baths of Hungary, the stunning architecture of the Czech Republic to the economic powerhouse of Poland, Eastern Europe truly has something for everyone. We've explored how these countries offer an incredible quality of life at a fraction of the cost you might be used to. We've talked about the rich cultural experiences waiting for you, the practical aspects of making the move, and the warm, welcoming communities you'll find. But here's the thing, everyone's perfect place is different. Maybe you're drawn to the startup scene in Tallinn, or perhaps the idea of sipping coffee in a centuries-old Prague cafe is more your style. You might be excited about the outdoor adventures waiting in Poland, or dreaming of soaking in a Budapest thermal bath. Whatever your dream fresh start looks like, I encourage you to dig deeper. Research these countries, join expat forums, maybe even plan a scouting trip. Trust me, there's no substitute for experiencing a place firsthand. And remember, starting fresh isn't just about changing your location, it's about opening yourself up to new experiences, new perspectives, and new ways of living. It's about growth, adventure, and sometimes, a little bit of culture shock, in the best way possible. I hope this video has inspired you to consider Eastern Europe for your fresh start in 2025. Whether you're a digital nomad looking for your next base, a retiree seeking a high quality of life on a budget, or just someone looking for a new adventure, Eastern Europe is waiting for you. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more content on expat life and moving abroad. Now, we'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Let me know which country intrigued you the most, or if you have any questions about making the move. Share this video with your friends who may be considering moving abroad in 2025 or beyond. If you like this video, you will love our videos on Top 10 Questions to Ask Before Becoming an Expat, your relocation guide, and Top 14 Easiest Countries for Americans to Obtain Residency in 2024, Top Countries Revealed. Here's to new beginnings, and who knows, maybe I'll see you in Eastern Europe soon. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy travels.